We need to understand the dynamics of politics as it has to do with ideologies of political parties in the country. And doing this with me this evening is Honorable Dayo Awude, former Commissioner for Youth and Sport in Ondo State. Thank you so much, Honorable, for coming on the program.
Thank you. It's my pleasure being here.
All right, to start with, a quick look at these headlines. The first one on the Daily Post, which stated that Nigerians need reorientation, not restructuring, coming from an Islamic cleric. Your own reaction to this story?
Well, I think the man was probably being mischievous because we are talking about two different things. Reorientation of Nigerians, okay, maybe in certain areas. But when we're talking about restructuring, it's a holistic thing. Fiscal restructuring, which has to do with our finances, geographical restructuring, which has to do with states, local governments, and the rest of that. Even in terms of distribution of our resources, we need restructuring. So it's not about reorientation. I think he knows the truth. He's just being, just trying to be clever by half. Just trying to be clever by half.
All right, a quick look at this one before we go into today's discuss. Looking at this on the Guardian newspaper, those are sent to PIB, Niger Delta stakeholders tell Buhari. Can you quickly react to this as well?
Well, in the real sense of it, he thinks 3% is too small. Well, it's neither here nor there. 3% is better than nothing. Definitely 3% is not what they desire. So if the president does not sign it, does not assent to it, what is alternative? That is the question we need to ask ourselves. So maybe we can start with that, maybe, just maybe 3%. Then from there, the agitation can continue.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. Today I said we will be looking at political parties and ideologies. So I wanted to take us back to the first, second, and what we call the Bush Third Republic, which is into the annulment of June 12 and its re-elections. Political parties then were known for ideologies, and that's what they stood for, and this drove the social economic program. Can you give us an overview of this period?
Well, it is true. The First Republic, Second Republic, parties were based largely, even to the Third Republic, were based largely on certain philosophies. Each party has its own programs and manifestos. But over the years, a lot of things changed. A lot definitely changed. How we play politics even changed. Then, the party was supreme. Whoever was elected on the platform of any political party must carry out the manifesto of that party. Otherwise, the party will sanction such a person. That was why you had free education in the Southwest. You had free healthcare services. These were programs of the political party, Unity Party of Nigeria as at that time. So, whoever was elected must carry out the programs of their parties. But today, it is more of what the elected person wants than what the party wants.
How do you mean?
Well, it's quite obvious today. There are no clear lines of demarcation anymore. In other words, you cannot draw an obvious line per se in terms of ideology and philosophy between or among the political parties that we have today. Because people move from one party to another party, the next moment they move to another party. So it's still the same crop of people rotating themselves, moving around the parties. So it is not so much about ideologies or what the parties stand for. It is more of what the individuals wants to do.
Thank you so much for that analysis. You know, when the Fourth Republic started in 1999, we have a major party, which was the People's Democratic Party, and for 16 years they ruled the country. And we've seen party evolve from AD, as you said, to ACN, and now the ruling party, APC, and we have other parties like Labour Party, ZLP, and ADC. Do we have clear ideology doing by these parties?
That's what
Does
I
it
said.
manifest in their socio-economic programs?
I said it earlier. There are no clear-cut demarcations.
Okay.
Absolutely. Today, what we have is 6 and half a dozen.
Okay.
There's no difference. We were told, or we read then, in 1998, that the same Chief Bola Ige, who spearheaded the drafting of the PDP constitution, or manifesto as it were, was the same man. When he left the PDP, when he saw what was there, he moved to the APP, drafted the manifesto. Again, when he had issues, he had to move to the Alliance for Democracy, drafted the manifesto. So, by and large, you are bound to have similarities, if not having them in exact forms. You are bound to have similarities among these manifestos, written virtually by the same person or the same people. So there are no clear-cut ideological lines as far as I'm concerned.
All right.
Today you can be a conservative, tomorrow you can be called a progressive because you have moved from this party to this party. It doesn't just roll.
All right. Earlier you talked about people moving from one party to the other, which you just said now. Don't you think that can make the electorate be asking for like gratification before voting because they don't really know what these people stand for?
Well, that is not why people ask for gratification before voting. That's a different ballgame entirely. That can be addressed holistically. As it is not only the electorate that is at fault or that are at fault. Different segments of the society are also culpable, including the media. I have said this many times over. Now, you ask me, how does now the political parties, you want to pick a form, just one piece of paper or 2 pieces of paper, and they will ask you to go and bring 5 million, go and bring 10 million for 2 sheets of paper called nomination form. It doesn't make sense. When you begin to raise it up, to raise the bar from that level, then you can begin, you are indirectly telling the people, you are communicating with them what to expect or what to ask for. So the political party is culpable. Now when you come to the media, if I say I want to advertise my product, you can say, okay, a slot is 2,000 naira. The moment it is we call it political advert. If I say, okay, I want to advertise myself, so to say, or my ambition, instead of 2,000, you ask me to go and bring 8,000 because it is political. Then the question is, which should be more expensive? Is the media promoting quality? Otherwise, if you don't have money, the media will not cover you. Your advert slots will not go at that normal rate. So, bit by bit, we are all contributing to this logjam, and it's very unfortunate.
That's a sad one. They're talking about the media. Now, can we discuss the importance of ideologies to political parties?
Well, by law, when votes are done, votes are meant for the candidate, but more for his party. In other words, Mr. A or Mr. B or Mr. C on the platform of a particular political party will do the same thing because that is what the party stands for. That is the basis of having an ideology. That is the basis of having a manifesto. If in the manifesto of my party there is free education, clearly written, there is free health services, clearly written, it doesn't matter whether it is Mr. A or B or C that is there. He will just have to subscribe to what the party has enshrined in its constitution or manifesto. So in other words, ideologies are very important. It doesn't allow for people to just do what they want to do because the template is already there. In developed democracies, the template is clear. Between the Democrats and the Republicans, they are 2 different political parties. they have two different ideologies, two different perspectives to issues. But and that helps the government. Whoever is there, you know what to expect. But in Nigeria, we don't have that. We don't have that. That's why you have an Ayade of PDP today crossing to APC tomorrow. So if he was particularly about promoting the values and the ideas of the PDP, and he goes to PDP and to APC, and he sees a contrary manifesto, how does it flow? So, by and large, our political process has been subsumed within the whims and caprices of the practitioners and not of the party or the manifesto of the party or the ideology of the party.
All right, and we see in some nations that those who seek high political positions like president, prime minister, or governor could have written a book that explains their ideological belief, which will also provide details of what they would do when they get elected. If we go by this way in Nigeria, is it a sure way to hold politicians to certain ethical credos, or what do you think?
See, it's the case of Nigeria is a very unfortunate one. Very unfortunate in the sense that we don't value quality anymore. We don't seem to value quality anymore. It's only in Nigeria that you will require to have a 2-1 result degree. You must have 2-1 upper credit, they call it in HND, for you to be able to have employment into a grade level 8 appointment. But to become the president of this country, all you need to have is to attempt SCUSAT. Just attempt it. Whether you pass or not is immaterial. Just attempt it. It doesn't, for me, that's like an inverted value. If I must be my best to serve in that small office, now you can be your worst and serve as the head of this country. So we have not placed premium. I'm not saying it is certificates that make it, but the bar has to be raised a little bit. If I cannot work as a senior civil servant, aside, except I have a degree, then why should I be the president of this country if I don't have a degree? It doesn't make sense. But this is what we have in Nigeria. This is what we have in Nigeria. It is in Nigeria that you push out, with due respect to those in offices. I'm not talking of those that are there now, even from the very beginning. We don't put forward our best legs. We would rather sacrifice merit, capacity and character and competence on the altar of religion and ethnicity. These two have been the bane of our development. An average Nigerian will first consider where the person is from before considering what does he have upstairs. And I think we cannot develop that way. If our system is not merit driven, see, let me tell you, a nation is as big, a nation is as productive, a nation is as developed as its leadership. When you have a leadership that is not functioning, the system will soon go into a coma. The leader directs the entire system. So why would you not put forward your best legs to lead you? In Nigeria, the average, don't let me use the word the worst of us lead the best of us. That is what it is. And before you know it, all of us will become like that leader, because we cannot do more than he can do. We cannot see more than he can see. No matter what you know, if you are not at the driver's seat, there is nothing you can do. Unfortunately, this is the situation in this country.
All right, thank you so much. Now, how do we fertilize the political party system in Nigeria for optimum productivity in terms of good governance?
What we need to do basically is to strengthen our system. Unfortunately, again, we are strengthening ourselves. We are strengthening our individual aspirations at the expense of the Nigerian system. We are strengthening our political parties at the expense of the Nigerian system. We must strengthen the system. If we do not strengthen the system, we are not going anywhere. It is a system that will run this country, such that whoever is there, the system will control him. But what we have today is, once the leader wakes up on the wrong side of his bed, he can say anything, he can do anything, and that becomes it. Whether we like it or not today, we say there is separation of power in presidential system of government. Yes. But as it is in Nigeria today, I can say it boldly, we do not have separation of powers. Whatever the president wants is what the National Assembly does. Whoever has a contrary proof should say so. If the president wants the National Assembly to do anything, he has his way of making them do it. Ditto the judiciary. The judiciary is supposed to be independent. But what we have seen, even in recent times, shows that the judiciary is not independent. It is still what the president wants that forces down their throats. Whether they admit it or not, we all know the truth. So until we strengthen our system, there's nothing like ideology, there's nothing like political parties. If the system is not strengthened, you cannot put something on nothing.
Okay, and I'd like to know if the system can be strengthened the way things are going right now in Nigeria.
Certainly, yes. Now, what do I mean? If anything happens, your first consideration should be, as a leader, should be, how will this affect Nigeria? Not how will this affect my party. No. We are complaining, for instance, we are complaining that a particular political party is not doing well. And you will still see people decamping to that party. For me, it does not add up. So, once we begin to say, okay, what will be the effect of this on the system, rather than what will be the effect of this on my religion, religion will not help us. It won't take us anywhere. It will not. When people talk, sometimes I get angry. Say, then I kept asking them, is it God that is punishing us, or we are not just doing what we are supposed to do? Have we sinned against God to the point that He is now punishing us? Many of these developed countries are not as religious, in quotes, as Nigeria is. On a street in Nigeria, even in Akure here, you have 5, 6, 10 churches on just one street. If you get to the United States, you won't even see billboards of churches. For you to get a church, find a church, maybe in a place as big as Akure, maybe you have 3 or 4 churches. But if we take a census of churches in Akure today, it will be in the realm of thousands, not even hundreds. And that is the truth. Now the question is, are we better off with that, our religion, than those people? If you don't do what you are supposed to do, and you are hiding behind the mask of religion, you are wasting your time. You are wasting your time. So Nigerians must sit up. We must build our system. I was listening to Lee Kuan Yew 2 days ago. There is this viral video that I just saw 2 days ago. And he was talking in this. Lee Kuan Yew was the leader of Singapore now. He took that country from a third world to a first world, if you like. Because he was determined. He said, it's either we die or we rise with this country. We don't have options. We don't have alternatives. Until we get to that point in Nigeria, that it's either we rise or we die with it, we're not going to get anywhere. No matter what party you belong to, for me, it adds little or nothing. We must be ready as a people and as a government to strengthen our system. If we do not strengthen the system, we are going to continue to be like this. When you subject the entire country, the entire system, to what the psychologists or the social scientists call rule of the thumb, that is, you just do what you like. You subject it to individual opinion, individual whims and caprices, then we're not going to develop. We're not going to develop. We must emplace a structure that will ensure that there is fairness, there is equity, there is justice, regardless of who is involved. If we don't get to that level, we're going to be in trouble.
All right, my dear listener, you are still listening to Panorama on Breeze 91.9 FM. This is where we discuss the state of the nation every week. And with me has been the former Commissioner for Youth and Sport in Ondo State, who is Honorable Dayo Awude. Now, away from that, there is this suspicion of unwillingness to allow presidency, rotate to the south in 2023. And people are suspecting the campaign by some northerners and their elders that competence should take precedence over zoning. Where do you stand on this?
See, this is the unfortunate level we have driven ourselves, we have dragged ourselves. The Nigerian presidency has become like a bread, like a piece of bread, a loaf of bread. That's okay. How much is this? And let me pay this amount. For me, I will subscribe any day, any moment to competence, to capacity, at the expense of rotation. If your sibling, if your brother becomes the president, if he has nothing upstairs, he will drag the entire system, including you, into a mess. So it doesn't matter where the president comes from. If we have good government, nobody will be bothered about where the person comes from. It is because nepotism has been raised to the highest peak, particularly under this government, that the agitation for rotation has become louder than ever before. Obvious nepotism, obvious favoritism is clear. So that's why everybody says, okay, let us also do it. Again, these are indices and symptoms of backwardness. We are not moving forward, we are not progressing. Even if you zone the presidency to each state every time, what value will it add to the system? Obasanjo was a Yoruba man. He was president for 8 years. He was head of state for 3.5 years. What extra did that add to Yoruba people? Absolutely nothing. What we should crave for, really, is good governance. And wherever that can come from, that is where we should go. Yes, you can say every sector of this country, every section of this country has quality hands. I believe that so strongly. So let the best come out. Again, part of the problem, which is a major one really, is the issue of finance. We have seen very brilliant heads coming out, but because they don't have money, they can't move far. Yet you have people who have next to nothing upstairs because they have money or they have access to money. They are just there. They are there. So, for me, for whatever reason, if you say, okay, let it come from this area, okay, maybe, but that is not the key to the development we're looking for. Even if you zone it from state to state, it is not. Who says, okay, let's say, okay, let us zone it to Yoruba land, to the western region. Obasanjo has been president from Yoruba. He's from Ogun State, Abeokuta. Shonekan has been president, Abeokuta. Obasanjo came back, Abeokuta. Osinbajo is vice president, Abeokuta. So what are we talking about? Is Abeokuta equal to Yoruba land? So what we are running from in the Nigerian project, we will still meet in the Southwest project. I just use Yoruba land as an example because that's where I am from, and that's where I'm more familiar with. In other words, what we should be after is equity, fairness, and justice. Once we can have that, the issue of place, where the person comes from, where what his religion is, will matter less. And I think we should de-emphasize all of those. I hope Nigerians will do that.
But I like to understand this. I love you to talk more on this. If a certain zone keeps producing who rules the country, then where is the equity you're talking about?
What is equity? What do you define by equity? If we have good governance, remember I said that, if we have a leadership that is entrenching good governance, so why would you need somebody from your home to be there? In other words, if I can have access, as much as somebody from the east can have access, as much as somebody from the north can have access, then why should I be bothered about the state of origin of who is there? I will not be. So for me, good governance is fairness, is equity, is justice. But if I cannot find good governance, if the rules are different for you and for me on the same subject, in other words, we are writing JAMB, maybe we wrote JAMB, I scored 250, and you scored 180, and because you are from a particular section of the country, you gained admission, and I was denied admission, there's no equity there. So we can begin. But if there is fairness, if there is justice, then people will not really bother. Now, if I ask you, I know we are not Americans. If I ask you, where was Obama from? Which region of the US was he from? Where was Trump from? Where is Biden from? Don't be surprised if they all come from the same region. That's the truth. That's why the two sons of President Bush were governors at the same time of different states. At the same time, siblings. Nobody said, but your father is from Florida. Why don't you go and become governor in Florida? No. The system has been strengthened to the point that anybody, anywhere, at any level can aspire to become whatever he wants to become. And the system will allow them. If we have that, nobody will be bothered about where somebody comes from. If we are still shouting about where somebody comes from, then we have a long way to go. A very long way to go.
And from the look of things in Nigeria now, the way things are going, do you see any changes in the nearest future?
Change is constant. I will not say there can't be changes. There can be. And I pray there will be. Change is constant. We cannot continue this way. Otherwise, the country will just nosedive, and that will just be it.
All right. Thank you so much, my dear listener. We'll take another break now, and when we are back, it will be time for you to join the